Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Don't go away. We have a special guest all the way from Kenya talking about how we can change the hearts and lives of children. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm your host, Perry Black, and on this show, we have a very special guest from across the pond and around the world, Abby Fegtley.
Yes, sir.
Did I get the name right?
You did.
Can I have some knuckles on that?
Got you.
Because I don't even get my own name right all the time. Now, I said you're from across the pond.
Yes.
Now, I don't notice an accent.
No, it's kind of like a hop and a skip into Africa in Kenya.
Someone said it's a small world. But it's not if you're walking.
Oh, that's very true.
Because when I say across the pond, your ministry, Abby, is in what nation?
It's in Kenya, so in the continent of Africa.
There you go. I was going to ask that question. Africa is the continent, but the nation is Kenya.
Yes, or the country.
Now, you're a young lady from somewhere over in, is it considered West Little Rock where you live? Where you grew up?
Yes, I grew up in West Little Rock, but I live in Hillcrest.
In Hillcrest. You know, I used to go to the movies over on Hillcrest.
Really?
Yeah,
Weird.
I think so. I think there was a theater over there when I was young.
Maybe a bit ago.
And then there was Browning's Mexican restaurant over there.
Okay, I remember that. I used to go there.
Yeah, I lived at the Methodist Children's Home, and I was in the choir and played handbells.
Oh, fun.
And our director of music, Felix Thompson, who many people know because his ministry was at one of the Methodist churches over there. He was at the Methodist Children's Home doing music. And we would go to Browning's right there in Hillcrest.
Right.
And all the kids, all of us, there'd be about 15 of us in the handbell choir. And you know what we got?
Cheese dip.
No, ma'am.
Oh. What'd you get?
No, we were from the Methodist Home. We got chips and salsa and punch.
Oh, okay.
And do you know what a highlight that was?
No.
I didn't either. No, it was awesome. But enough about us.
Okay.
Tell me about you. You grew up in Hillcrest. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Little Rock Christian Academy.
And that's on, is that considered Highway 10?
Yeah. And I loved it. I went there from first grade until I graduated high school.
You graduated high school?
I did,
We're
yes.
going to keep knuckling each other here. And I always joke about that. My mother's goal was that her 5 children would graduate high school.
Okay, that's great, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great goal. Only 3 of us made it.
Oh, at least you're one of the 3, I'm assuming.
Well, now don't jump to conclusions. Oh. So tell me, you grew up, went to Little Rock Christian.
Yes, sir.
And at the age of what did you hear the voice of the Lord in some form or fashion communicating to you about Kenya?
So I would say when I was 13, I really had a heart and like a passion and a desire to go to Africa, because I had like been to homeless shelters and like nursing homes around here. Like my mom was really big on like local service. And then I just felt like God put it on my heart that it was time to go to like global missions.
At 13?
Yeah.
My mom was just trying to get me to go to school at 13.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of that too. So like, don't get me wrong.
So at 13, when did you go overseas for the first time?
So like I would say I wanted to start going like January when I was 13, and then I went that summer for the first time. So I had some friends that were living over there.
Okay, January, but you went in the summer, so when was your birthday?
In August 7th. So after I got back.
So I guess when you were 12, you started really praying about it, thinking about it, probably trying to get your parents to pay for it.
Right, yeah, or just try to get them onto the idea. Because it's like when your 12, 13-year-old wants to go to Africa and you're not going, a lot of parents are like, no, like you can't go. But thankfully, like my parents didn't like squander that dream and desire in my heart.
I would have.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Like now, like everyone's like, I'm surprised your parents said yes, and I'm like, okay, me too, right? Because like sometimes kids have dreams, but it's sometimes the parents have to discern: do I stop this or do I let them go? You know, that kind of thing.
I was hard pressed to let my kids go across the street at 13.
I mean, yeah, that's true. So
Dad, you're so protective. I said, you're breathing.
At least you're here, yeah. So I was grateful. My parents are very faith-filled people, so they just trusted me with the Lord, and that's where everything kind of started.
So you turned 12 in August? or 13 in August, and then January, and then to the mission field?
So I was 12, then I went when I was 13.
I warned you, these are hard questions.
Yeah, this is a lot, but I'm trying. So then I was 13 when I went for the first time.
Yeah.
Then I turned 14 as soon as I came back.
Yeah, so tell me about the trip. You went alone, you went with your mom, your dad. Who accompanied you the first time to Kenya?
Right. Yeah, so it was a lot of like, some of our family friends were living there, but then it was a lot of people from like high school and 8th graders, and then I was like a 7th grader. And so there was a group of like 20 of us that went, but neither of my parents went. My sister was with me, but it was just us and a bunch of friends.
Can you tell me, out of those 19 or 20, are any of those students currently involved in ministry, full-time, what we call full-time ministry, or missions?
I would say maybe 1 or 2 of them, but not a whole lot.
Tell me about the impact going to Kenya. What was the impact? You're a 13-year-old young lady. You're in a very different environment than Hillcrest.
Correct, yes.
And what was the impact? What happened here or both?
I think in my mind, I had never been exposed to a different culture in that sense, and so I didn't really know how to process it because it's so different. I wasn't used to it, but in my heart, there was something that like pulled me there, like something that felt comfortable, something that felt like home in a way. So here I was wrestling with, in my mind, it seemed so foreign, which it was, but in my heart, it felt so comfortable and so normal. So that was kind of a weird thing to have to process.
So tell me about what happened between the age of 13 and about 18, which you graduate high school probably at 17?
Yes, sir.
So during those few years, what was going on? Because you were a young lady, you're going to school, there's activities,
right,
and yet you've got something stirring up in here.
Yeah.
Like a fire shut up in my bones.
For sure. So I am a very like strong-willed, like determined person, and so I felt like God was asking me to kind of really invest in the place that I was volunteering. So I started a sponsorship program called Blue Door Ministries when I was 14, like as soon as I came back. So I started by just posting on Facebook, and then people started getting behind me. So the whole time in high school, I think what really helped was I had something I could physically work on with finding sponsors for the kids at that school. So it always made me feel like I was a part of it even while I was here still studying in high school.
I want to hear more about what transpired in those few years, and then I want to know what God's doing right now through Blue Door Ministries in Kenya, and we want you to know more about Blue Door Ministries as well. So don't go away. We're going to be back with Abby here in just a moment. Watch this brief break and we'll be right back.
A mission field around you is filled with young hearts needing a forever family. And at Second Chance Youth Ranch, our team is committed to providing healthy, stable, loving homes and families to hurting children in the Arkansas foster care system and those up for adoption. Please contact us if you feel the tug at your heart to help foster or adopt, and find out the steps you could take to help fulfill a child's lifelong dream. Maybe you can't foster or adopt, but you could help. The need for thousands of children in the system is staggering. But with the help of faithful partners and business alliances, we are meeting those needs right now. Would you help us make a difference? Every gift, regardless of size, impacts a child's life directly and helps provide for a home in the gap right now. Visit the Second Chance Youth Ranch website at 2CYR.org to read more, watch the stories, and to make a contribution for a hurting child's care. Monthly partners are needed, so please contact us right away. And as you partner with this ministry, you are partnering with the Heavenly Father that has promised to be Father to the fatherless. God bless you for helping Second Chance Youth Ranch.
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. As you know, this show is really about changing lives, one heart and one life at a time. We really focus on helping unfortunate children or children in unfortunate circumstances. And our guest on this show is Abby Fegtley. She is not an unfortunate child.
Yeah,
that sounds like a song by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Unfortunate Son. Things just happen in here, Abby. I can't help it. It just passes through and
it has to come out of your mouth.
I have no filter. But you are the founder of Blue Door Ministries.
Yes, sir.
My suspicion is it's called Blue Door Ministries because there is a blue door somewhere.
There is, yes.
Tell me the story of the blue door.
So originally I was taking pictures of children at a school to find sponsors for them, and so I just found a blue door that was on one of the classrooms. And
now you just passed through there, some children, you were just taking pictures of children. Where were these children?
Yes, so I was volunteering at a school, and so when...
Where was the school?
In Kenya.
There you go.
Sorry.
Okay, because you're a missionary to Kenya.
Yes, sir. So when I started volunteering at this school, they really needed someone to find sponsors for the kids.
Yeah.
So there was a blue door at the school. I thought it would make a beautiful background in a photo, and so it actually looked like that door, and now that's the cartoon version. And so that's where Blue Door Ministries got its name, from just taking pictures of children because they didn't have a picture that they could hold on to of themselves, and then it kind of just like snowballed into starting a sponsorship program.
And tell me about that sponsorship program and how it has, I don't like the word evolved, but how it has now become something even more personal, which is the development of a new program in Kenya through Blue Door Ministries.
Yes, sir. So when I started, like I said, I was volunteering for someone. We had a great relationship. I worked with them for 8 years. And so when I moved to Kenya last January, I was still volunteering for them, helping, and then through a series of a few months, I just felt like God was dropping new vision and new revelation in my heart that I didn't really know a lot about. But I just started realizing that high school students were really where you could make a difference. People, like students that needed to be cultivated and loved. It's such a pivotal time in our lives. And so I just remember God asked me to step away and start something new. And so October 24th, like 3 months ago, we started a new high school called Blue Door Christian Academy.
Now, previously, the ministry that you were connected with, they were really focusing on younger children.
Yes, sir.
And what was happening, they were kind of like in foster care in America. They were kind of aging out of that program and nowhere to go.
Correct.
And so God says, I'm looking for somebody that will fill the gap. You know, the key to success, as you probably are aware, is you find a need and meet it.
Yes, sir.
But in this case, there was a need, and God said, I found me a servant that will help get the job done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely not easy. Sometimes when God's asking you to do something, you have the opportunity to say yes and step out in faith when you don't really know what it's going to look like. Or sometimes fear can keep you from saying no. So I remember wrestling with that. Do I step out in faith or do I stay where I'm comfortable? And then ultimately I just felt the push to step out in faith and say yes. So I didn't know anything about starting a high school or the mechanics of how it all worked. I just knew that that's what God was asking me to do, and He would help me along the way.
I was driving on 430.
Okay.
I think it was south, right there at Stagecoach Road exit.
Okay.
21 years ago, and with my wife, driving along, just driving down the road, and the Lord said, I want you to start a private Christian school. I went, me?
Yeah, you're like, did I hear that right?
I looked at my wife and I said, the Lord just told me to start a Christian school. She said, how are you going to do that?
Right.
I said, I don't know.
Valid question.
I'm just going to do it the same way I do everything else. I was driving out of Second Chance Ranch years ago with my brother, and we're bouncing out of that old rugged road, and he said, how are you going to do this? I said, I'm going to do it the same way I've done everything else. I'm just going to trust the Lord.
Right.
Does that really work, or is that a cliche?
It actually really works.
Just trust the Lord works.
I'm like a testament of that a lot of times He just asks you to take a step, and then all of a sudden someone will come alongside of you who needs to fill the gap that you're looking for. And then when they help you, then it pivots you to the next step. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to trust the Lord and everything's going to happen at once, but it's a lot of times like He brings people and surrounds you with people who will have knowledge or, you know, kind of be like, hey, do this. And then when you take that step, it opens up into something else.
Our ministry theme is reaching out across the street and around the world with the love of Jesus Christ. And a lot of times we're so focused on the world, we don't take care of home. And then you have the home group, the home church, they're so focused on the home, a lot of times we don't reach out across the world. This show's about changing the world, one heart, one life at a time. That's why we really connected with Blue Door Ministries, which is you and what you're doing. So tell me, What transpired during your high school years? Because after high school, you actually did go to college at Fayetteville.
Yes, sir.
May we just cheer on the Razorbacks right now real quick?
Yes.
Woo Pig Suey.
Woo, Pig Suey.
And so you graduated college at what age?
I was 21.
And I know you're not supposed to ask a lady their age.
Yes.
So I'm not going to ask you, so you can just tell me how old you are.
I'm 23.
And I want people to know that because we, like Moses, when God's speaking to him at that burning bush that wasn't burning up,
Right.
he made all kinds of excuses.
Yeah.
There are people watching and they're saying, I'm too old. I'm too poor.
Right.
I'm too young. I've got other things to do.
Right.
Those are a lot of times just excuses based on our insecurities.
Right.
But Proverbs says, trust the Lord with all of your heart, not just a piece of it. When I asked my wife's dad if he would let me marry her, I didn't ask for her hand in marriage. I asked for all of her.
All of her.
And isn't that what God wants? He doesn't want just our heart, does he? He wants all of us.
For sure. And I think that's like, we'll always have excuses. There'll always be something that's going to be in the way. So if you're going to like look for an excuse, there'll always be one. But I would just say, like, when you step out and trust God, like, it's very like terrifying because you a lot of times don't know what's around the corner, but he's such a loving God that you know you can trust with whatever he's asking you to do. It's a good thing. And so I've just learned that, like, I'd rather be like nervous about it but trusting that it's going to be what's best for me than to stay in my insecurities.
Well, a guy said one time, he probably repeated it, the guy who says it can't be done, the guy that says it can, they are both right. And the guy that says it can't be done will often be interrupted by somebody doing it. And this young lady's a doer. We'll be right back.
My name is Samuel. I am 13 years old. I am in 8th grade. I like to read like comic books or like stuff like that. My most favorite is Iron Man and Thor. I like Iron Man because he has the smarts and the suit and all of that. Thor, I like his hammer.
What else do you like to do when you're not in school?
Mostly do puzzles and color.
The reason we're doing this video is we are hoping to find a family to adopt you. Is that something that you want?
Yes, sir. Because I just miss having, I just want a family. I didn't get to spend time with my own family because I got into foster care. Yeah. My mom didn't come to court for my, I think, adoption or something. And then I was up for adoption. So I never got to spend time with my sisters. I get to visit my brother sometimes. Adoption means to me like getting a family, a new family. If I had a family, I would probably have 1 or 2 sisters, a brother, some cats, and video games. I love video games.
If there's a family that was watching this that's maybe looking to adopt a kid that's around your age, what would you want them to know about you?
I would want them to know about a lot of things about me. Like my favorite color is purple, and I love chocolate. I'm a chocoholic.
What are some activities that you would want to do with the family?
Activities? Well, I would like to like watch TV, watch movies, play video games. I mean, video games and board games. I would wish for a good family to spend time with anybody's. Like, I would love to spend time with my new brother or sisters, because I never got to spend time with my brothers or sisters yet.
Welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. As you know, these brief breaks are designed to let you see how you can be involved in changing one heart and one life, one day at a time. And our guest is Abby Fegtley, Blue Door Ministries, and we want you to get connected. We don't want you to just get focused on helping children in foster care, because we are working diligently daily and weekly and every month of every year to help bring solutions to foster care. But at the same time, I want you to be a big picture Christian. I don't believe in Christianity light. I believe that Jesus called us to go into all the world and preach the gospel, but don't forsake home.
Right.
So we have people that support this ministry, but we want to sow seed into the future and into our world, because Jesus is not coming back till we get the job done.
That's true.
He's not coming back for a half-baked group of Christians. He's coming back for those of us who are serving daily. Abby, at the age of 13 and a half, 14, you went to Kenya for the first time.
Yes, sir.
And you went how often until you started going and staying, working with the previous ministry during that 8 years?
So basically, anytime I was out of school, I would go. So probably 2 to 3 times a year. So Christmas break, I was there. Spring break, I tried to go in the summer. So between the age of 13 and when I moved there, January of 2021, I had been 22 times.
And I guess maybe because of your age, your mom and sometimes your dad accompanied you?
Yes, so it would just depend. Like sometimes my mom would come and like lead visitors, or my dad would go, or sometimes I would just go by myself. So it really just depends.
You graduated Little Rock Christian.
I did, yes, sir.
And what year was that? Do you remember that?
2017.
2017, and then you went to Fayetteville.
I did.
Did you major in something in Fayetteville other than campusology?
Well, I majored in international business.
That makes sense.
So because I loved what I was doing in Kenya, I wanted to learn the business side of things and just really get as many tools under my belt as possible, because when you're asking people to support your ministry, it's great when you have that business mindset, and it gives you a level of credibility, especially because I am only 23. I wanted to make sure I was as well equipped as possible.
Well, something happened in 2021 that we want to go back to in our previous segment. In 2021, God had really been stirring in your heart about really going from working with the current ministry you were with, which was working with smaller children,
Yes, sir.
to those children that had aged out of that program.
Right.
And so God really laid it on your heart at Blue Door Ministries to start working with high school students.
Yes, sir.
And as a result, you started a high school.
I did.
Tell me about that and how
Yes,
people
sir.
can get involved in that.
So basically, I realized that there were a lot of kids that graduated 8th grade, took their national exam, and they were so intelligent. They were supposed to go to national schools or really well-known schools.
Yeah.
But because a lot of them are from single mothers, or their parents make like $6 a day, like there's no way they could pay to go to high school, because that would be like 60% of their household income.
Because in some countries like Kenya and in some European countries,
Right.
it's an honor to go to high school.
For sure.
And if you go to university, even more so.
Yes, sir.
Same way in Kenya?
Same way. Like
Yeah.
I would say, like a lot of students stop after 8th grade, and then it's like such a privilege to go to a high school, especially a boarding school where you can just stay there and study. And so I realized that's where the gap was. You had a lot of intelligent students who would be able to go to university, but couldn't make it to that step because they couldn't even go to high school. And so I was like, okay, Lord, like let's really hone in on that and do that really well.
When did your high school start? In 2022?
It started October 24th, 2021.
And how many did you start with in October?
So I started with 75
75 students just
Yes,
showed
sir.
up.
Yes, sir.
We started Arkansas Christian Academy, I think 35 students,
Oh, wow.
and we were elated.
Yeah, I was thrilled. I remember thinking, okay, school's starting on the 24th. I don't even know if people will come. And I remember they were supposed to come at like 2 p.m. on that Sunday, and I got a call at 6 a.m. that morning. Hey, Abby, the first student and parent is here. And I just cried. I was like, oh my gosh, someone came. You know, like you do all this work and you're following God and you know He's going to come through. But when I got that call, I was like, okay, Lord, like you did do what you promised.
Well, let me give you a word.
Okay.
When we started this church, Family Church Bryant,
Right.
Father's Day, June the 20th, 1990. No Bible studies, no committee meetings. We just obeyed God.
Right.
And we were believing that 50 people would be
Right.
an awesome Sunday.
Right.
And the first Sunday, 87 people came.
Wow.
Now, I've run off way more than 87 people since then. Because everybody doesn't have the same goal, the same dream, the same passion, or my personality. But look what God's done, starting with 87. We brought chairs in the very first Sunday.
Right.
And starting with 75.
Yes.
And what's it look like maybe in the very near future? We're in 2022. How does your school term run, October to what?
Well, so right now, because of COVID, our new school year is actually going to start April of 2022. So this year. So when April comes, I should grow from 75 to have 160 students.
Wow.
So we're like
extraordinary growth.
doubling our numbers for sure.
And so what kind of things people are watching, and they have a mission heart, but not a desire to go there. They want to send you.
Right.
What kind of things will you need in order to accommodate doubling your school, more than doubling your school,
For sure.
this April of 2022?
Right. So I think the biggest thing is we just need monthly financial support, like to run a school. None of our kids pay anything because they're from the neediest of the community. And so I think a lot of times people hear of like the child sponsorship model, which is what I've been used to. But now we're trying to do like a more holistic approach, just so like all the kids like feel equally loved. And so people are going like for $40, people will sponsor like the school as a whole, and then they'll hear from a bunch of different children, just so they get to know a lot of the students rather than someone just like adopting one child.
Awesome.
I kind of want to take like a more holistic approach this time.
So, $40, sponsor the school, which is the desk, the uniforms, and everything.
Teacher salaries, the electricity bill, rent, food, anything
All
you
right,
can think of.
so I have somebody offset. Kathy, can you hand me that envelope? Because I know this is kind of unprofessional, but the Lord spoke to me this morning. We want to plant a seed. And here is a gift. Oh, look, it's made out to Blue Door Ministries. Do you know her?
I do.
And that's a gift. I'm not going to mention the amount because that's immaterial, but I want our viewers to know that we plant seed, and we've never done this on camera. But here's a gift for Blue Door Ministries.
Oh my word,
And we
thank
want you to plant a seed in Blue Door Ministries. Information is available on our website, and we look forward to hearing from you and supporting this work in Kenya, and seeing you right here next time on Second Chance Youth Ministry, or Second Chance Branch TV. God bless you. See you next time. Bye-bye.